A clandestine greeting to you, board gamers. Today we have SpyMaster from Calliope Games' Titan series, designed by Seth Johnson. For those unfamiliar with the series, Calliope Games asked several big-name developers to design an entire game around a single mechanic, and Mr. Johnson was tapped for this I Divide and You Choose title, based in a world where danger lurks around every corner. Does this game scratch your James Bond/Harry Hart itch, or will it leave you feeling just a little Johnny English? Let's open the box and find out. In the box, we have a pretty clear rulebook sticking pretty hard with the spy theme. Not to break the rhythm before we even get started here, but I want to make mention of one thing while I have the rulebook in my hands. Say what you will about Calliope's catalog as a whole, I've yet to play any of their games that don't have excellent rulebooks. If someone from Calliope is watching this video, I want to commend you on that. Well done, friends. Next up is the board, which I'll talk more in detail about in a bit. The game's spy tokens are these very excellent acrylic meeple/pawns. And next to those, we have the intelligence cards of decent thickness and quality. The player boards, each representing an intelligence gathering organization, my favorites being the hilariously named Shadowfile, and my color of preference purple being the equally ridiculous L'Agence d'Information Extraordinaire, or LIE. Yep, that all happened. Finally, there's the SpyMaster pawn and the mission cards with the SpyMaster card as well. So that's what's here. Let me set up the game and I'll train you all in. The crux of the game is keeping an eye on the missions that are constantly popping up across the world and maneuvering your assets to accomplish them. The game plays across 5 rounds, and whoever has done the most saving of the world wins. The first thing that happens every round is the current SpyMaster will deal out a stack of intelligence cards, maintaining their order in a long row in front of themselves. Then they'll divide up the cards into unequal piles in whatever fashion they choose. Each pile must have at least one card, and there must be as many piles as there are players. After that's done, they add the SpyMaster card to one of them, allowing another player to don the mantle in the next round. Then, starting with the player on the SpyMaster's left, everybody chooses a stack for themselves, forming their hand. The SpyMaster chooses last. Once everyone's filled their hand, you go around the table discarding a single card to gain movement points and moving your colored spies around the world. The goal here is to get enough spies into a single city denoted on the mission card in order to meet the requirements, in order to recover the stolen money or detain the conspirators. That's really the whole game. You'll go around the table moving and finishing missions until everyone passes, and then the new SpyMaster will divide up the next stack of cards and you'll go again. Let's start with what doesn't work here. The board is strictly awful. In combination with the admittedly great acrylic spy pawns, you can't tell what the color of anyone's city is standing in. And the problem gets even worse when there's a bunch of them there, which will happen with pretty great frequency. Additionally, you're not allowed to travel from one city in a zone to a city in a different zone without going through a travel hub depicted by an airplane. Side note, why these aren't just called airports, I'll never know. The issue here is that due to the graphic design of the board, you can't easily tell where one zone ends and another begins. You could use your knowledge of geography to deduce that Caracas isn't in North America, but that means I'd have to time travel back to Mr. Price's 6th grade social studies class, and that's a lot of commitment just to play a board game. And don't tell me that I'd gain some additional insight into what it was like to be middle school me, and that if I have access to time travel, is that really what I'd be doing with it anyway? Yes, it is. These aren't mindless squabbles either. Over the course of an entire game, these get really annoying, and while they're not game-breaking, they certainly don't help the overall flow. That being said, the whole point of the Titan series, including the upcoming Ship Shape, which we're reviewing in a couple weeks, is to get big-name designers to focus on a single mechanic. So, in that vein, let's look at that mechanic. Anyone who's ever had more than one child has had to figure out how to divide up something to make sure that everyone feels like it's fair. The classic example is that if there's one piece of cake left and both your kids want some, they're inevitably going to be upset with how you cut it in half, even if you use a laser to measure and divide it. And you can't let one kid cut it either, because they're not going to cut it evenly and they're going to take the larger piece. So, you do what King Solomon would do. One kid cuts the cake and the other kid cuts the other kid in half. I mean, the other one gets the first choice. That's what's in play here. In a 6-player game, though, there's 19 intelligence cards in each stack, and that's a lot to work through. There's some good design in that you can't reorder the cards and you have to combine the files in order here, so the sequencing becomes very relevant. At 3 to 4 players, pretty doable. At 6, it's very difficult to look over every mission on the board and come up with 6 piles such that decision making isn't obvious. It's doable, but not fun. And if it's not fun, why are we even here? No one appreciates a game that supports high player counts like me, but this game should really be capped at 4 players. If you get that many into this box, you're actually going to have a pretty good time, if you can get past the board. Any more than that, and, well, it's your evening. While SpyMaster succeeds in the goal of filtering a whole game into a single mechanic, there are definite flaws that stand in the way of it being something you'll want to bring to your table with regularity. Let's go through the checklist, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. As previously mentioned, Calliope Games' rulebooks are nearly universally fantastic, and this one is no exception. The rulebook also uses the second person you throughout and has gameplay examples featuring both male and female players. Iconography clear. The game's iconography is very clear and easy to understand, but not always easy to see on the board. I don't want to harp on this too much as I've already gone over it in detail. Packaging well done. Everything in the box fits neatly back in, though there's literally no extra room for any cards you might add into the game later. Also, you can't sleeve these cards and fit them back into the box, so that's another bummer. On the table, good representation. Each player is their own spy, so you bring your own representation there. The spy tokens are just silhouettes. Component quality. Overall, this is pretty good. The cards are of standard quality, but the acrylic spies are great. Replay value. Decent. There are a ton of mission cards here, and the huge stack of intelligence cards will give you good variation from round to round. Fun to lose. Not really. You can very easily get behind with missions that don't match where you are on the board, and while you can get decent cards with rotating SpyMasters, once someone jumps out to a huge lead, there's nothing to bring them back. There's no rubber banding mechanic here. So, in summary, I have some pretty basic issues with SpyMaster, and while I don't think those make the game unplayable, they certainly don't compel me to get this one back to the table too often. As a design exercise, I think it succeeds, but gamers want a fun experience that doesn't get in its own way, and I think this one suffers a little under that lens. If you're willing to look past those issues, however, there's some fun moments to be had. I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population. Always sleeve your cards. Hello, hello, hello! This is my audio level for speaking into a microphone. Oh, we're changing the lighting mid-review. Yeah, it's fine. No one cares. 17 people will say to themselves, that looks different than it did before. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed that video, please hit that sub button and check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com. And please consider becoming a patron of the channel at patreon.com/GLHFmagic and help us keep making reviews, videos, and podcasts for as little as $5 a month. We're also always looking for new games to review, so if you make games or you know a company who does and wants to have their game reviewed on Good Luck High Five, please reach out to us at glhf@goodluckhighfive.com and we'd be happy to take a look. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainNGM, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck, high five.